Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, boys and girls. So this is the last challenge, our last class, one of our last lessons, and we are going to do a Cisco Packet Tracer lab with instructions. It is important to do everything step by step by the book, and we are going to try to get the best possible score for this. Sometimes these Packet Tracer labs have some bugging errors, so be aware that we will follow the instructions step by step, do our very best. But even if you get to a 90% or 95%, you are doing a great job. So do not worry about that. Let's go, let's go. So let's go to the website. And how do you find this lab? Pretty easy. You just double click in the lab. Like you're going to change the name for the lab, and then you go to Google and paste it there. You access the first website. I double click on it for some reason, but I think I opened the lab twice. Let me just close it because it can cause errors there. Let me just work on this. Let me close one of them. Nope, I don't want to save it. We are in the right one. So it looks like it doesn't have a time limit. It doesn't have like a time limit. It's counting time and everything, but usually they give us like from 1 hour to 2 hours in the Cisco NetACAT for this kind of exams. So please be aware of that. Okay, this is the routing table. You can see all the IP addresses for the specific devices. For those specific devices, this is the addressing scheme or addressing table. Let's go with the first step. This is organizing the setup. We have to power on all devices, but first we have to make sure that we have the devices in the right place. So let's take a look at this, and you can see that there is something wrong. We might have, let me minimize the screen for a moment here. We might have to figure out a way to have the devices in the best possible manner. So what's the best possible manner? Okay, you will have two pieces over here. Let me see if I can see the picture because I cannot see that clearly. PCA, and it looks like PCC over here. PCA, B, C, and the server. That's what I see. So let's go to the topology and try to do that. Okay, the first thing is to place PCC and the server over here. So let me work on this. Let me move this around. Let's see if I can do it. Let me just place the computers here for a moment. And I have to do a DNS server over here. What is the problem here? Do I have to power on the device? I'm just trying to move the server over here and have PCC over here. Perfect. Now I have to place in the other task or in the other rack the following devices, the other PCs. Let's validate something. Yeah, I see they're actually on top of this task. So let's go ahead and validate that we have the server and the PC on top of task 1. Let's go to the topology. Let's see. Nope, they have to be on top. So we still have to move them around a little bit. Let me move this. Perfect. Now the next thing we do, we have to move these other PCs. Okay. Perfect. PCA, PCB, PCC, and the server. That's what I see for the topology. Now, are we missing something? Yes, we have to move the network devices. So let's validate the order for these devices. I see router. Let me just increase the size of this. Is a little behaving with some tension there. Okay, switch 1, 2, 3, and 4, router 1 and 2. Okay, so let's go with the switches. So we have switches. Let me increase the size a little bit. Okay, it's actually switch 1, 0, and switch 1. And then we have switch 3 and 2. Okay, we have a multi-layer switch. We have the routers. Let's go to the picture. Let me see if I have a clear image of this. Router 1 and 2 is something that we have to set up, as well as the switches, but I'm trying to figure out. Okay, this is the order. Switch 1, 2, 3, and 4. Those are the right ones. So let me decrease this a little bit. Let me move these switches around. Let's try to find the switch 1. Where are you, buddy? Do you guys see it? We're just trying to move the device. We don't want to power on the device. Okay, let's see if this is one of those switches. Let's see which one is it. Let me move it to the top of the rack. Yeah, perfect, switch 1. Now let's look for switch 2. Okay, let's see. Let me just move this a little bit. Move this one around. Let's go back a little bit. Let's move it there. Okay, let's see. Is this switch 3? Switch 3. Yeah, we need switch 2. So let me look for switch 2. Switch 2. Let me just move this around. You guys see it's a little bit tedious because you have to do all this movement, but make sure that you do this in an organized way, in an organized manner. Okay, we have the switches. What are we missing, boys and girls? What do you think? What are we missing at this moment? Let's try to give them some space to these devices. Switch 4. So hopefully this one is the switch 4. Okay, and let's validate. Yeah, perfect. That is the correct order. Now, we have to move the routers. Where are you, buddies? Router 1 and router 2. We are going to organize them in a moment. Okay, let me just move them around. I will organize them later. So, according to that topology, router 1 is first there, and router 2 is the second one. Let's validate that this is the correct order for these devices. This is a rack. That's where we place the devices in the rack. Probably we will have to power on the routers later on, but for now we completed the first step, which is actually to organize the devices. Next thing we have to do, what do you think, guys, boys and girls? What do you think is the next step? The next step will be to put the cables. So select the orange cable to connect gigabit 000 on router 1 to gigabit 00 of router 2. Apparently that is one of the best instructions. But I see there's another step. Okay, we organize the devices, we drag and drop the devices. We have the PCs in tables 2, PCA and B, PCC, DNS server. We have the switches, we have the routers. Everything seems to be in place. Now, we're going to do the console cable, but where does this console cable goes to? Looks like it might have to go to one of the PCs. PCC, maybe. Let's do that for now. Let's take this blue cable. And we're talking about which device? A switch, one of the switches. Or is it a router? We have to make sure and be 100% sure that we are doing this in the right router. It looks like this is in one of the routers, maybe router 1. Let's try with router 1. Let's see. I don't see the telnet connections there for the console cable. I don't see the connections. Let's just do it our way. Let's just move this. Let's go to router 1. Let's go to the rear. Let's look for the console. I don't see it. Let's go a little bit deeper. Let's go to the rear. Let's find the console. Yeah, this seems to be the console. We're going to go to one of the PCs, PCC, for example. And there you go. That's what we needed to do. Let me stop sharing the video so we can concentrate in the exam for a moment. Or you can still see me, but what we want to do in this case is be organized. Next thing we do, follow the instructions. Next cable we have to connect is the orange one, orange cable, gigabit 00 to gigabit 00. We are going to connect the routers. So let's choose an orange cable. Let me increase the size a little bit of this rack. Let's go to the devices and gigabit 00. Do you see it there? Yeah, it goes to gigabit 00. Perfect. Amazing. Good job. All right, what else? The cables. Looks like we have to connect the straight two cables, the green cables, to the remaining devices. Now we have to be careful because they are organizing a specific order. Let's see. Let's take a look at this picture. Okay, I can see the port, the first port on switch 1 goes to one of the PCs or one of the switches. It's actually, it seems like it goes to the router. This one, this one, this one, it seems to go to the router. This other one too. So let's see. Let's see. From the switch. Oh, I see. From the switch gigabit 01, we have to connect to gigabit 002 of router 1. That's one of the first step. But I see Fast Ethernet 05 goes to PCA. Okay. Let's go one step at a time. Let's go with the green cables. Let's try to find them. Okay. I have one of the green cables. I'm going to go to the switches. Now, do you guys see a gigabit 01? I don't see it anywhere. So we are going to use Fast Ethernet 01. I don't see in the switch. Let's see if there's a gigabit in the switch. Oh, it's actually right here. Gigabit 01 apparently goes, to what I can see, to gigabit 002 in the router. It seems to be router 1. Yeah, we did it. Now, Fast Ethernet 05 goes to PCA. So, let's try to find it. And this goes to PCA. Be careful that you connect it in the right place, in the correct location. What else are we missing? Let's go one step at a time. We configure this part. Now we configured this already, router 1 and 2, gigabit 000, gigabit 001 on router 1. Let's go there. It has to communicate with gigabit 01 on switch 2. So let's go to switch 2, gigabit 01, and it has to go. Do you guys remember? 001 on the router 1. Okay, so it's actually router 1. 001. Do you see it? Actually, I see that is already in place. So let's go ahead and connect it here. No, it doesn't let me do it. Let's go ahead and connect it here for now because I think there is something wrong here. I remember. Let's go to switch 2. Switch 2 is gigabit 01 on the switch to gigabit 002. Okay, so that might be the problem. Let me just move this around a little bit. Let me move the cable because it's giving me some errors there. Let me just move it down here for a moment. Okay, so apparently this gigabit 01 has to go to 002. So it has to go right here. Okay, there you go. Now it finally fine. Now the gigabit 001 for switch 2. Do we have that correctly set up? Switch 2, this one, 001. Okay, looks like we finally did it. Okay. What else are we missing there? Fast Ethernet 05 on switch 2. Let's go. Let's copy this one. Switch 2. Let's find that. And it goes to PCB. Let's find PCB right here. So you see there is a little bit of logistics. You have to be patient. We completed this first part. It's a little bit tedious. But now we are going to move to the other part. Gigabit 002 on router 2. Okay, let's go. Gigabit 002. I can see it. And we have to connect to gigabit 01 on the switch 3. So let's try to find switch 3. Are we doing it correctly? Is it gigabit 01? Perfect. Now, the DNS server, Fast Ethernet 10 for the switch 3. Okay, let me just pick up a green cable. Let's go to Fast Ethernet 10. Do you guys see it anywhere? Okay, apparently I just connected it to Fast Ethernet 010. Okay, we'll see in a moment. It has to go to which PC? To the server. So let's look for the server. Okay, let's validate that we connected that one in the right place, because we might have to look a little bit closer in the router, in the switch. Let's look for that switch. Is it the right one? No. What about this one? Is it this one? Yeah, we did it. Okay. It's a little bit tedious, but we're getting there. Next thing, gigabit 001 on router 2. Let's look for that. Let me pick up a green cable there. Green cable, where are you, buddies? Where are you, my friends? Okay. We have to go, where exactly? To switch 4. Switch 4. Okay. Gigabit 001 for the router to gigabit 1 on the switch. Gigabit 1. It goes to router 2. Gigabit 00. Ah, 001. It has to be 001. Are we doing something wrong here? What is this one? 000 is already occupied. Are we doing router 1 or router 2? What are we doing? Router 2. So is router 2. Gigabit 001. Okay, let me increase the size because I am not seeing anything there. It's too little. Too small. It is too small. Okay, let me see. Router 2. Where are you, my friend? Right here. We selected that one. And we validated it's actually gigabit 001. Perfect. Okay. All right, we're almost done. It's a little bit tedious. Fast Ethernet 10. Let's go to switch 4. Switch 4. Okay, let me look for that. Is this the right one? I don't really see it. Let's select the cable first. Let's go to find the cable. Let me pick one. Let me look for this in switch 4. Okay, and it has to be connected to PCC. So let's look for that one. PCC, where are you, buddy? We might have to fix this because I don't see this is correctly set up. PC. Where are you, PC? I don't see the PC. Let me look for that because something is strange here. PC. Okay, there it is. PCC. But this cable is not. The cable is not correctly set up, so we might have to move this telnet cable. The problem is that since it is so small, sometimes you get loose. Okay, so we have to move this cable over here. I moved the other cable right here, but I think I lost it. So this PCC, has to connect to Fast Ethernet 10. Over here, let me look for that. Let's go to the switch 4. Right there. Okay, we finally did it. Now, there's something that I'm a little bit concerned, and it's actually the cable here in the server. This cable doesn't look fine. This cable is supposed to be connected here, but I don't see it connected. It's like connected in the gear. They manage the cable. Okay. So this one apparently goes. What was the correct path for that cable? Do you guys remember? Let's look the one that goes to the server. Fast Ethernet 10 on switch 3. I think I might have incorrect that one. I might have connected that one incorrectly. Where this one goes? No, this one needs to go to other place. Let me just look for the other place. It has to go to the server. So we have to move this one to the server. Wait, it's giving me a headache. Okay, I think I finally did it. Oof, it's been so difficult. I don't know why they make these exams so difficult. Guys, I think we finally have everything in place so we can start the configurations. But it's been a headache, a complete headache. They should make this easier, like in the other way, so you can actually do it in the other topology and then validate the information here. But it's just the way that Cisco works. Now, there is something missing here. PCA doesn't have the cable that goes to PCA. So what was it? It was Fast Ethernet 5 on switch 1. Let's see where that one is going. Okay. I think I connected that one incorrectly. What did I do here? Switch 1. I connected to the server for some reason. No. This one has to go to the PCA. I might still be doing something wrong here. Okay. Let's validate. What was the correct switch that we needed to connect for the server? It was switch 3, so maybe I was doing it in the correct switch. Switch 3 and Fast Ethernet 10. Where is that one going right now? It's also going to PCA. It doesn't make any sense. Switch 3 cable. Is also going to PCA. I don't really understand this lab. It doesn't make any sense. Let me move this around a little bit because it doesn't make any sense. I'm a little bit confused with the lab, to be honest. This one, apparently, this one is the Fast Ethernet 10, right? But it doesn't make sense that it's connected to the same place. Apparently, this one goes to the PC. Let me see. Maybe I'm putting it in PCB. Let's see. PC 2 is right. Yeah, it doesn't make any sense. This one, switch 3. This one. Yeah. Okay, one of the cables is not correct. We have two cables in that PCA. And we have to connect them correctly. So let me see how can I fix this because it's a total mess. It's a total mess. Let me just move this around a little bit. Okay, this is switch A now. Okay, let's see. Maybe PCB has the two cables. Let's see. Let's see what is going on here. No, PC2. It's just getting too difficult. I don't know why. PC2, this was right. So this is right. This goes there. This goes over here. Now, what am I missing here on this port? How can I remove this one? Is there a way I can manage the cable? Let's see if I can manage this cable on this switch, because it's creating a mess and I'm not able to move it around. So let's see. Let's go down a little bit. Now I need to somehow manage cable. Manage cable. Let's see if this one will finally connected to the right place. Let's see. Okay, apparently that one goes there to the server in the back part of the server. It doesn't connect here for some reason. I'm trying to connect it to the server, but it doesn't. Please move it to the rack on the first table. Okay, so apparently we need to move the, oh, that's why. I was selecting the incorrect server. I have to, okay. Take a look at the mess of these labs, because they're here to confuse you. Why do they put two devices there? Just to confuse you. They should probably just place one device. But they just do a mess with these labs. Okay, now everything is set up correctly. Let's save this so we don't encounter any errors any longer. And you can see that we have to be patient, because this lab can make you suffer a little bit. Okay, we are done. Everything is set up correctly. We are done with the setup. Now we have to go with the configurations. So let's go with the first part. It should be pretty easy and easy forward. We have to go to the PCs and configure them. So let's go to PCA. Let me power on the PC for now, and let's add the IP addresses. PCA, let me add those IPs. Shouldn't be difficult. They just make it difficult for some reason, but it should be easy. Okay, let's just copy there. We are adding the default gateway, the IP address, the mask, and then the DNS server IP. So let me just go ahead and copy this over there. Okay, perfect. We have everything set up. We have PCA. Let's go to PCB and let's add the configuration to PCB. Let's validate we actually added to the right place. PCA, perfect. PCB, let's go to PCB, power on the device. Let's add the IPs. Let me look for those. Okay, the IPs that we need are actually 192 and 168, the 1.5. It was 64.10, the 100, the 1.5, and this one is 192 and 168. Okay, mask is /24, and then 192 and 168, that 1.1, and then 209. Let's see, 209.165.202.131. Perfect. PCB is done. Let's go with PCC. And let's find it. PCC. There you are, my friend. We power on the device, and now we have to add the IP addresses. Okay, this is actually 172.16.2.5, mask 255.255.255.0/24, 172.16.2.1, and then 209.165.202.131. Perfect. That's the easiest part. Now, let's go to the difficult one. We have to add some encryption and authentication to the routers and equipment. How do we do it? We are already connected to router 1, so we can just go to the PC, to the PCC. Let's go to the terminal, let's click on OK, and in a perfect world, it should be working, but it's not for some reason. What are we missing? Is the device power on? Let me see. There is something wrong here because I tried to access it, but I'm not able to access it. What is going on with this? It's not power on. Okay, be careful because you have to power on the routers. If not, you will not be able to access them, of course. It makes logic. It makes sense. Now it's coming up. It's coming up. We are accessing the router via console cable. The blue cable is the console cable. We are accessing basically from PCC. We are accessing the router 1. So we can start with the configuration. It should be easy. Let's go to the website and let me just copy this configuration. Let me go to our notepad and let's go ahead and edit it before we add it there. Let's remove the spaces there, some of the unnecessary characters that we don't need. So let's work on this. Remember to remove everything here and be patient. Patience is the mother of all virtues. Okay, so that's perfect. Let's copy this. Let's go to the device. Let's do an enable and a config T. And let's paste it there. There you go. And do WR. We do a WR to save the configuration. It's like running a copy running config, startup config in the device. Now, same thing for the router too. Let's just copy the configuration. Let's go there. And basically we are adding basic security to the devices. Now be careful because now we have to move the router 2. But in order to do so, we don't really have to use the same PC. Maybe we can use another PC. Let me see if I can use PCB, for example. Let's go to the topology. Let's connect a telnet cable from this PC to the rear of the router 2. It should be right here. Now we should be able to access, and let me stop the video for a moment so we can concentrate. We should be able to access the device. Now it should be powered on. Everything should be correct. No, always select no there. Enable config T. Let's validate that we can copy and paste the configuration. Let's go to our notepad and let me just copy this over there. Make sure that you are in the right device. We are accessing it from PCB and undo is actually a WR. And we are done with this security, the first part of this configuration. You can see that we completed at 26% of our lab. And that's pretty easy. What are the instructions on this? Let me share the video and let me go over them. So let's go ahead and go over the instructions of what we need to do here. We just completed this. Prevent the router from attempting to resolve incorrectly entered commands, and that is with the no IP domain lookup command. Router name, remember that you use the host name command, and then either router 1 and router 2. Then the enable secret password, then the line console password. Then we have to do a banner mode. Then we have to encrypt clear text password with the service password encryption option. That is another password. And a minimum of 10 characters for those passwords. Those are the instructions pretty much. That's what we just configured in router 1 and router 2. We were adding those configurations in an easier way because we ran like scripts and it was easier than typing the commands by hand, step by step, taking all life, all eternity. Next thing we do, we have to configure the IP addressing scheme for those gigabit interfaces depending on the device. Same thing, we just go ahead and copy this configuration. Let's go to our notepad. Let me Let me close this so we don't get confused for now. Let me stop sharing the screen. Okay, remember guys, we're just powering on some interfaces. We're adding a description, which is very important and essential for this. What else are we doing? What else? Adding the description, adding the IP addresses, the correct IP addresses for those interfaces, and powering on those interfaces. That's basically, those are the interfaces on router 1. How do we know those are the correct IP addresses? Well, we just go to the addressing scheme over here, and we validate it. Router 1, okay, this is the IP address for gigabit 000. Okay, this is the IP address for gigabit 001. And then the last one is gigabit 002. And there is a description explaining where each connection goes to. So let me just copy this. Let's validate that we are in router 1 because I was about to paste it in the incorrect place. Be sure that you are in the right one. Okay, now let me see. Let me do a config T. Let's do a paste over there. And there you go. Do WR and the configuration is now safe. Same thing for the IP addresses. We already validated those, so we are not going to do that again. We're just going to do the following. We go to the configuration, we copy the script for router 2, we go to the notepad, and we remove the unnecessary characters. Let's go step by step, one step at a time. Be careful that you are removing only the characters that you don't need. Because if you remove like some part of the configuration that you need to configure this correctly, you can run into trouble. You can be in a trouble. So be careful about that. Okay, we are almost there. We're almost there. Okay. All right, let me just copy this. Let me share the video for a moment. And let's go, let's go. Now, you guys remember where we have the ability to access the router 2? We were doing it from PCB. Let's do a config T. Let's paste the configuration over there. Let's do a do WR to save the configuration. And do you guys remember how to validate the interfaces? With the following command, show IP interface brief. That's the command that we can use to validate the physical and the logical status of those interfaces. Now, what are we missing there? We configure these interfaces. All interfaces should be ready to send and receive traffic. They were powered on. That's pretty much the first steps. We configure step 2, we finish it, and step 3, if I'm not mistaken, it is still part of step 2. We are going to do step 3 now. We configure only step 2, but that's pretty much what we just did. Let's go with the configurations for the switches. So, how do we access the switches? Let's take an advantage that PCA is free, and let's connect to switch 1. Let's go to the rear. Let's go to the console. And let's go to PCA here. And let's go to the terminal. Let's do an enable. Let's do a config T. And now, easy peasy, easy. Let's copy the configuration for the script of this switch. We are configuring the administrative interface. I'm powering that on, adding a specific IP address. What else are we doing? Adding the default gateway as well. So let me just copy this configuration on it. Let's close this. Remember, we're working with the PCA only for the switches. Let's do an NWR, and that's it. Let's go with the configuration for switch 2. Let me copy this. Let me paste it over there. Remember, remove the characters. that you don't need, but be careful that you don't remove like part of the configuration. Okay, let me copy this. Now, this is what we need to do. We have to move from this one to the switch 2. So let's see if I can move the cable. I have to go to the rear. I need to move this there in the other rear. Let's see if I can do it. Okay, let me go to the PCA. We are basically accessing the device. We have to go to the terminal again and click OK. And there you go. Config team. Let's validate this configuration. Perfect. Let me paste it there. Let's do a do WR. How do you validate this interface? Okay. You can do a do show interface VLAN 1. And there you go. You can see the IP address is logically and physically up. You can see the bandwidth, the MTU. You can see the packets, incoming, receiving packets, error messages, outputs, errors, input errors. All those important details and informations are there. These important details and informations are here. All right, perfect. Now, what do we need to do next? All right, let's go. Switch 3. Let's copy this configuration. Let's go to our notepad. Let's remove that configuration there. And be careful that you are only removing the configuration that you don't need. Now, same thing as before. We're using PCA for the switches. So let's go to the rear and let's open the other one. Let's move this around. Should be easy peasy. Let's go to this PCA terminal. Okay. And let's do an enable and a config T. Now, let me just copy and paste this. How do we know the configuration is correct? Because we validated that in the addressing scheme. And where is that? You can ask me. In the instructions of the lab, they gave us that. For each VLAN, they gave us the information. You can see it over here. Yeah, it's not that clear. It's not that clear, but you can see it there. Now we're using the website because it's easier to validate those information with the websites than the lab. And you can see the whole table here. Now, what have we just completed? Switch. Are we doing it for switch 3? I think we did it. Yeah, that's it. Let's go with switch 4 because we're still missing that configuration. So let's look for that. Switch 4. Let me just copy this. Let's go to our notepad. Remembering it is important to remove all the characters that we don't need, so we can just copy and paste that configuration. Be careful, Control Z if you run into that trouble. And we are just pretty much adding this configuration. Okay, let's go and let's do the same that we did before. Let's go to the rear. Be careful, you have to go to the rear, open both, and click on the first one and move that. Let's go to the PCA. Let's close this window. Let's open the terminal once again. And there you go, config T. Configure terminal. You can complete it with tab. If you run into that trouble, let me just copy and paste it there. And that's it. That's it. Perfect. What else are we missing? Boys and girls, what are we missing? What are we missing here? Oh, we have to configure NAT on the devices and some passive interfaces and calls. Okay, but the next step is actually to configure for router 1 to configure OSPF. So let me just copy this configuration. Let's go to our notepad. Let's remove the characters that we don't need. And carefully, do you guys remember where is the access to switch to router 1? We have to access router 1. It was in PCC. So let's go to PCC. Let's go to the terminal. Let's click on OK. Let's validate this. Let me just do an exit here. Let me do a paste. Let's do an end WR. Show IP protocols will tell us that the configuration of OSPF has been successfully added. You can see that we ran router OSPF1, router-ID 0001, network 64.100.1.0, 0007 is the wildcard mask, area 0. Another network 003 for the wildcard mask, area 0. How do we know these are the correct networks? Because we should be able to see them configured here. Let's do a show IP interface brief. And you can see the neighbors, the networks that we need to configure pretty much are this one, 64, 100, 1.0, and 192.1.51.100.0. Why we don't have to do it with the gigabit 001? Because those are connected between both routers and we don't need it. It's a point-to-point connection. We don't really need it. Now, we just save the configuration with the WR, but what is another command to save the configuration? Copy, running config, startup config, and that's pretty much. Now, let's go to router 2. Let me just copy this, and let's go to router 2 so we can add this configuration in router 2. It should be easy peasy. Pretty much we are doing the same. We are adding OSPF configuration. We have to go to PCB, if I'm not mistaken, and let's do a config T. Let me do a paste. Let's do a do WR, and the configuration is now saved. Do show IP protocols, space protocols. You can see OSPF has been successfully configured and there is an adjacency successfully added. It's coming right back up. The loading changed to full. Okay, what else are we missing? What else? The next step is to add some passive interfaces, add a cost reference, and some OSPF configuration that is required on both devices. Now, since we are already in router 2, let's go with the configuration of router 2. Let me just remove this. And we're just going to go directly to router 2, and then we'll configure router 1 later on. So it's actually faster. Let me just copy Ctrl Z. Let's go to router 2. Let me paste this. Let's do a do WR, and that's it. Now, let me close this so we don't get any confusion. Let's go to the router 1. Be careful. I was accessing the incorrect one. Let's go to PCC, terminal. Let's click on OK, and let's go to router 1. Okay, now let's do a config T. And now, the moment of the truth. Let's copy this in the notepad and let's remove the characters that we don't need. What are we configuring pretty much in the gigabit 001? We are configuring the point-to-point OSPF, so it knows that we have to configure that. And the hello interval 30. Probably that is in the instructions, and you can see it there in the instructions. So be careful that you don't remove something that you will need for the configuration. Let me copy this in router 1. Let's do a do WR to save the configuration, and let's wait a little bit. How do we know the OSPF neighbors? Is there a command for that? Of course. If you go here and you do an int and do show IP OSPF neighbors, you can see the neighbors there. There is one for the gigabit 000. The network is 0002. So the command to see the neighbors is show IP OSPF neighbor. Okay, let's configure NAT, and that is in router 1. That's what we need to configure NAT. So let me just copy this configuration. Be careful. Remember, you have to be in router 1. We are in the right one. Let's do a config T. Config T. And let's go ahead and do the following. Let's remove the characters that we don't need. Let's go ahead and remove the characters. Okay. Be careful that you are doing this correctly and you're not removing any characters that you will need within the configuration. Okay. Let me do a paste there. Let's do a WR and that's it. We are configuring IP NAT inside source static 192.168.1.5 to 64.100.1.7. This static NAT on router 1 with the public IP address 64.100.1.7, it will allow PCB to access the web server. There is another thing that we need to do here, and it is to apply the ACL. We are going to do that, and basically the NAT, to apply the NAT. There is an ACL that we will configure with this part, but it's basically to apply the NAT and the ACL, to apply both. So let's remove the characters that we don't need. Let's go ahead and close this connection so we don't get any confusion there. Let me copy this, Control Z, and let's go to PCB and let's see if we have access to the router. Let's paste it there. Let's do an N and a WR. And let's see if there is something with show access list. There is the access list. Show IP NAT translations. You cannot see them yet. Maybe you can send, you might need to send some ping connectivity commands like 172.16.2.1 or something like that. Let's see if I am able to ping another device. Let's see if I might be able to ping PC. Let's see, PCC, for example. Let's see. I don't know if I will be able to, but let's do the test just in case. Let's do the ping test here. No, I don't see it. Which is the closest PC that we have? Or which one are we supposed to ping? We are in router 2, right? Which PC is close to router 2? Do you guys remember? Let's take a look at the topology. It's actually PCC. I see PCC and the server. Let's see if we can ping the server just to validate something. I don't know if we can ping the server yet, but let's try it. Let's do a ping test there. Maybe we have to wait until the end of the lab to do the connectivity ping test. But I want to test to see if the access lists are getting there. Maybe there is some traffic being blocked by the NAT. I don't see any connection there. Let's see. What is the order? PCC. We try PCC. We try the server. Yeah, maybe there is a connection or something blocking the access. Let's try it with the following. Let's do a show IP NAT translation. I don't see any translations. We will do testing later on. Let's go ahead and not worry about that for now. We configure the panel mode, we configure the interfaces, we configure the VLANs, the OSPF, the NAT, the ACL. Okay, we still have to do a lot of configurations there. A lot of configurations. Okay, so be careful and go one step at a time. What was the last configuration that we did? We did the OSPF, we did the NAT, we did the ACL. Oh, okay, we have to go to router 1 to apply this now. So let me just copy this, paste it over here, and remove the characters that we don't need. we are configuring an standard ACL there for router 1. That's pretty much what we are doing. Let me copy this here. Where are you, my friend? Where are you? Do you guys remember? Boys and girls, do you remember? It is in PCC. Let me paste the configuration. Let's do a WR, and that's it. Same thing for switch 1. We have to copy this and paste it there. Let me just copy and paste it there. We're almost there. Now, before we add the configuration, remember we are using PCA to access to the switches. And now the last thing, it was in the rear here. We have to move to this other one. So from switch 4 to switch 1. Now let me access it. Let's go to the terminal and click OK. Let's do an enable and let's do a config T. Let me go ahead and copy this from the notepad and paste it there. Let's do a do WR and that's it. Next step is to add some security to router 2. So let me just copy that. There's some access list that we are applying in router 2 specifically. You can see there's a lot of characters. There are a lot of characters that we need to remove. Be patient when you're doing this, one step at a time. Hopefully we are at a more advanced moment of the lab. Let's validate how much percentage of the lab we have completed at this point. Let me go ahead and copy this. Let's go to router 2. Do you guys remember how to access router 2? Let's do a config T. Let's paste it there. Okay, perfect. Okay, and WR. Let's validate the percentage of this lab. It's 82%. Okay, we're doing pretty good. Next thing is to access switch 3 and add some configuration. So first thing we do, go to the rear, move this cable, and then go to, we don't need this, go to the PCA, close this and open the terminal again. Validate that you are in switch 3, do an enable and a config T, and let's go to the configuration. We have to add this specific configuration. Let me go ahead and clear the characters that we don't need. Okay, be careful. Be careful and do one step at a time. Let's copy this into the, where are you, buddy? Where are you? It was PCA, right? For the switches, yeah. Let's do an AND, do a WR. And it looks like the password is not set up for some cables. It's just advertised message, but it looks like these lines will be disabled until we set up a password. So we will have to set up a password to access those. Let me just copy this in router 1. Let's go to router 1. Let's do an end. Let's go ahead and paste it there. Let's do a yes. Yes. And we got an error for some reason. What are we? Okay, be careful. First command is right. Let me just close this and this for now. First command is right, but now after this we have to add the IP address of this specific device. That's what we were missing there. And then we have to do this command. Let me just copy and paste it there. Okay, it's right in the configuration. Perfect. The other backup that we are doing is in switch 1. So let me just copy this. Let's validate if we have access to switch 1. Okay, let's go to the rear. Let's go to the other rear and let's move the cable. Now, let's go here. Let's go to the terminal and effectively, no, we are there. We are in the correct switch. Switch 1. Let's copy the configuration. We are doing a backup of the configuration. Do you guys remember this IP address? 192.168.1.5. Probably belongs to a router. 192.168. That 1.5 is actually an IP address for PCB. It's the IP address for PCB. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to those instructions. We have to do one step at a time. One step at a time. Be careful. We pretty much configured the whole app, but this part is important. Okay, let's paste it there. Let's add the IP address. And the destination file. Be careful that you completely copy everything and paste it there. It will take a few seconds or minutes. And there you go. Now let's go to switch 2. Same thing. We connect the rear, go to the rear, and we are going to change it. We go to the terminal, we close it, and then we open that again. And we validate it. We are in switch 2. Let's just stay there for now. And let's go ahead and copy the configuration to the TFTP server. Okay, let me just copy this. Let's add this IP address, which belongs to PCB. And let's copy the command to save this specific destination. This configuration is going to be saved in the s2-run-config. Now we have to do something in switch 3. So let's go. Rear. Let's move this. Let's go to the terminal. And this lab can be a little bit long and tedious, but you have to be patient. Remember, patience is the mother of all virtues. Let's paste it there. Okay, let's add the IP address. Let me paste this. Let me copy and paste it there. And do you want to save it? Yes. It will take a few minutes or seconds. In the meantime, let's see if we can access the router 1 or router 2 to validate something. While we wait for that, let me just validate something. Let's see if there is something with the show IP NAT translations now. No, maybe there is something that we are missing, like sending some connectivity ping tests. I tried to ping most of the devices, but I don't know. Where are we right now? In the router 1, router 2. Let's see if we can ping from one router to another. Okay, that might help. Let me see if maybe doing a ping test to the other router. Gigabit 000. Yeah. Let's try to ping router 1 to see if that will help us a little bit. No. What else can we do? Apparently, we should be able to access a website for the server for PCB. Let's go to PCB to validate that. Let's see. Apparently, we should be able to access the IP address of the server. Let's look for the server. This is the IP address. I don't know if this will work, but we're just trying our best. Let's see. We're clicking go, but I don't know if it will work. Maybe we have to add the specific address of is given a timeout www.enza.pka. It is not working for some reason. Maybe there is something wrong in the configurations. Maybe we are missing something. Let's try with the HTTPS. But I'm trying to test connectivity so I could validate the HOIP NAT translation command, but it just doesn't work for some reason. Okay, let's continue with the backup. We got an error, 84%. We are getting close, but you guys remember I told you if we get to a 90, we should be happy. So let's not worry about getting the 100%. We need to get to a 90 at least. That error message. Why are we getting this error message? This is so strange. Apparently there's an error when we try to save the configuration. 209.165.202.131. Source. Okay, apparently this is the source. We're going to try one more time, but if it doesn't work, we're just going to ignore it. And the destination, this destination is not there. This is the second attempt, but we are not going to worry that much. We're doing our best here. I don't know why it's not taking it. It's just not working for some reason. This is pretty much the last section. We're just going to go to configure and add this configuration, but for some reason, this part of the lab is not working. Like I told you before, sometimes those labs can be buggy. So we're just going to move forward. We're not going to get stuck there forever. We need to advance, try to get to the 90 as close as possible. We're just going to add the configurations there. Even though that sometimes the lab is not as efficient as we wanted. Let's reload and let's wait. Let's validate if we got close to a 90. We got 81 actually. Yeah, that's what I was telling you. Probably we will stick there for the 84. Let's see if we're missing something there. Okay, apparently we didn't power on the server, the DNS server. So that might be causing the errors. So let's go ahead and validate that the DNS server is powered on. Yeah, that might be one of the reasons because we encounter errors there. Okay, let's not worry too much about those. Let's just click it there. Leave it there. We got to an 85%. Okay, let's see what else are we missing to see if we can fix it there. The default gateway or PCC apparently is incorrect. So let's go to PCC and let's validate that. PCC. Okay, let's check. Maybe we added incorrectly when we were configuring the lab. So the default gateway for PCC. Let's go there. Let's work on that. Okay. What is the default gateway? No, I see the default gateway apparently is correct, but let's see. 172.16.2.5, 1.1. Oh, okay, yeah, 2.1. Yeah, apparently everything is perfect. We configure it correctly. There is something wrong with the lab. It's just something wrong with the lab. That's what I was telling you guys, that do not worry to get to 100 because sometimes these labs are with errors or mistakes. Let's continue with the other part to see if there's something else we can fix. Okay, apparently the default gateway, but we did it correctly, just marked incorrectly. IP domain name. IP domain name. Okay, in the router one. Okay, let's go there to see if we have the whole configuration there for the IP domain name. Maybe we are missing that. Let me just go to the complete configuration for router one. Router one. Let's see if there is a... Okay, yeah, we are missing that. Let's go to the configuration for a moment. Let's go to the router one. Let's go ahead and configure that. Do you guys remember the password? It was Cisco and pass. Cisco and pass. No, we're typing something wrong there. Cisco compass. Cisco and pass. Config T. Okay, let's add that part that we are missing. IP domain. Domain name. CCNA-lab.com. Username admin secret admin one pass. Then we have the crypto key, generate RSA 1024, and we have to do an IP SSH version 2, and that's pretty much it. Let's do a do WR just to save the configuration. Let's see if we got close to 100 or at 84. Still good. Now, what got me a little bit confused is that instruction that says that the default gateway for the PCC is incorrect. That got me a little bit confused because we added the correct one. Let's see. Did we added the correct one? Yes or not? Let's try 1.1 just to validate something. No, it's pretty much the same. It's 2.1. This is automatic. Let's see. Maybe that's what we were missing. Yeah, the automatic option there. Yeah, apparently we fixed it. Now the line BTY apparently is incorrect in router 1, so we have to configure the line BTY, the BTY access, BTY lines in router 1. So let's go there. Let's go there. Let's work on that. So let's go here. Let's go to the router. And let's configure those BTY lines. Let's go to the final configuration that we have there with everything there. And let me add that again, just to cover our backs. Okay, let me add it just one more time, just in case. Let me copy this. Let's see. Maybe that will do the trick, or maybe help us a little bit. And apparently there was another one that it wasn't taken correctly. Let's go to the results. We got to 92. Let's validate that. Everything looks good now for router 1. Now we're missing just some information on router 2 switch. Yeah, this one we were not able to do it for some reason. We might have to investigate why this is not working. But for now, let's go ahead and work on... Apparently, the next step is the DNS IP domain name on router 2. So let me close this for a moment. Let's close this. Let's go to the router 2. Let's validate the configuration. Let's go there, router 2. Apparently we added that one to router 1, but it was pretty much the same, the BTY. Okay, let's validate that we are doing the correct configuration on router 2. It was pretty much the same. Let me copy this. Config T. Let me paste it there. Let me copy this other part. Let me add this again. Maybe we added to router 1, but we didn't add it to router 2. Let's do the crypto key. Let's do it again. Yes. Let's do 1024. That's pretty much it. The version 2. We need the version 2 over there. Okay. Let's do a do WR just to save the configuration, and hopefully we are getting close to 100. Yeah, 97. We are pretty close. Let's see what else are we missing. We're pretty much configuring everything correctly. But maybe, oh, all right. The only problem that we are not getting to 100 is that error. Oh, there is something else. There is something else in router 2. The gigabit 001 is not configured correctly. So let's go to that router 2 to add that configuration again. Gigabit 001. 001. Let me just copy this. Let me go to the router 2, paste it there. Let's do an end. Let's do to WR. Let's see if we are getting closer to 100. We got to 99, almost perfect. Now, let's do our best to see if maybe in the answers of the students at the bottom, they explain why it was not working. There's something wrong when we try to save the TFTP configuration on the device. And this part, there is just something wrong with this part where we try to complete this in the flash. So let me copy this completely. Let's go to the device. This was on PCA. And we are in switch 3. Perfect. Let's do an enable. Let me copy and paste that. Okay, now, what do we have to do? Maybe I was missing these 2 dots, the column. What are we missing? Okay, let me copy the whole configuration and hopefully this time it will work. Maybe the configuration of the server was not working because the server was power off. So maybe that was the problem that we encountered before. Let's just click in enter. Let's wait. Hopefully this time will work perfect. So it was probably that the server was power off and we didn't have access to save the configuration in the server. Let's do a do WR. Let's do a WR. Let's see if we got to 100 for this lab. We got to 100. Amazing. So we have some suffering, some trouble, but we did it. Congratulations. After 1 hour and 19 minutes, we completed this lab successfully, everything perfectly. We suffer mainly at the beginning of the lab, like adding the cables in the correct place, in the correct locations, adding the devices in the correct locations. But we did it. We completed the lab. I want to congratulate you for taking the time to do this lab. Remember my phrase, practice makes perfect. And also I want to congratulate you because you completed the whole program for the CCNA certification exam. I wish you the best. I wish you to become certified, to become a network engineer, an expert in networking, and it's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure being with you these days, working with you together, trying to understand the networking concepts. This is what I love. This is my passion. And I wish you the best. I wish you the best. Happy New Year, boys and girls. It's been a great beginning of the year. And until next time, take care.